Last year we were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. So
I know our team isn't back to relevancy because of the spirit of Texas and the pride, and it's because we got Matthew McConaughey over there rubbing on shoulders, interstellar greenbacks coming in. The college football you and me grew up on is gone. It's dead, and in the NFL has taken its place. Matt Rhule recently has talked about how he's thinking about canceling his spring game because of the tampering that's going on with the NIL and the transfer portal. We're going to hop into this interview, see what he has to say on one of his first pressers back as the college football calendar starts getting going. If you enjoy these videos, transfer portal videos, NIL stuff, general college football coverage, and football coverage, leave a like on the video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you enjoy college football content, and let's hop right into it. We're going to go right into the small snippet.
I don't know that yet, but I'll be honest with you, I highly doubt it. And I think it's really fundamentally, I hate to say it like this, it's really because, last year we're one of the more televised. We were one of the more televised spring games, and I dealt with a lot of people offering our players a lot of opportunities after that. So to go out and bring in a bunch of new players and then showcase them for all the other schools to watch, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The word tampering doesn't exist anymore. It's just absolute free, open, common market, and so I don't necessarily want to open up to the outside world. I don't want these guys all being able to watch our guys and say, "Wow, he looks like a pretty good player. Let's go get him." So, but I don't know yet. I don't know anything. I thought it was important that we at least started to broach that subject of it not being televised. Yet at the same time, I do want to show off our players in some way. So, what exactly it'll be yet? I have not worried about anything other than recruiting right now. Both the portal and into the 26 class. So now I have to kind of turn my attention to all those things.
I think he said some really big things there, and obviously we have more of the interview because he goes deeper into about NIL and stuff. So we have more there. But before we get into it, I kind of want to speak on what he said. Tampering, like there is no tampering anymore, and I think that's important because there's been a huge distinction that has been made now with the NIL era, where, like I said, there's supposed to be specific tampering windows, right? But because you are allowed to pay players, I feel like the traditional ones have just been thrown out the window and said, we're just gonna do how we do it, right? We're gonna have Shiloh and Shador Sanders post on Instagram because hey, that's legal, right? And you can do that as long as the coach isn't getting right up on somebody. So I think that he makes a really good point when it comes to that. And it's a point that we say a lot on this channel is that the NCAA has awful rules when it comes to it. He's talking about a free market. Well, yeah, go look at the transfer portal rules. Like the transfer portal rules are so thinly put together. Like we read them. Go, hey, we got a video on the channel, and there's nothing holding these kids to these schools when you pay them all this money. So it's definitely getting sticky for both sides. But at the same time, like Matt Rhule, get over it. Like, hey, this is modern college football. You either adapt, and to his credit, I think he is adapting. He said he wants to change up the spring ball and how that's done. And I think spring football is an integral part of a growth of a football team. So being able to throw that away is interesting. But again, he's not saying he wants to throw it away. He just doesn't want it to be televised. But I don't know if the Nebraska athletic director is going to be happy with that because that brings some much-needed funyuns in there during the offseason. But let's go deeper into this whole situation. Just want to make sure before we go deeper into it, Matt Rhule has been doing what he's doing on the recruiting trail. You know what I mean? Currently number one when it comes to overall recruitment rank. So absolutely doing big boy stuff, big boy status as well. Texas was at number one. And then, y'all came in and did big stuff. So Matt Rhule clearly is doing a lot of damage there. So let's get deeper onto this subject and kind of see what his other thoughts are.
Yeah, first of all, it's great to see everybody. I haven't seen you guys probably since the bowl game. Playing the 3-3-5, playing the 3-4, and then also be here on his visit, he asked all the right questions. He's about football. And if you take a one-year player, it's like in the NFL, guys get a 1 year to prove it. They have 1 year to prove, they deserve a big contract. Some of these guys are saying, I got 1 year to come to Nebraska, prove I can play in the Big Ten. He's not a big linebacker. He's an athletic linebacker. So if he can play in this play style that we're going to face in the Big Ten, then I think he'll help himself immensely at the next level. So both guys, they've had production. Both guys have 1 year to get it done, and they're very serious about it.
Is there something in particular you're looking for in those interviews because it's a condensed amount of time to decide on a portal prospect if he fits for you when you're talking to him, like you mentioned, watching Trent asking the right questions?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of like structure here, and sometimes a lot of young players push back on it, which I get, right? The older players, sometimes they come in and when I say by structure, it's like, hey, you have to get up and eat breakfast every day. And sometimes the guys come from a school that, they don't have 21 meals served by a chef, and they're like, wait, you're going to feed me? Like, I don't have to eat ramen noodles? Like, so there's a level of I can handle anything. I can handle guys who make mistakes. I can handle guys who lose their cool and yell at me. I just can't handle a lack of gratitude. I can't handle guys who are ungrateful. And so that's why the bowl was so fun, because some people left, and the guys that were at the bowl trip all wanted to be on the bowl trip. Like, we had fun together because everyone was grateful to be a Husker. They were grateful to have all the things that we have. And so when guys come to visit and they treat people well and they're grateful and all those things, then the talent speaks for itself. But I'm looking for that other piece. There's other guys, when they've left, we said, hey, this isn't going to be a fit. We had one player who was coming here, and just as he was dealing with people, it just wasn't a great fit. So we're not going to ruin the locker room over one guy. And so I think that's the biggest thing for me, is trying to evaluate, why are you coming here? What are you leaving? And what do you really want to do? The second part I'll say is sometimes you have some younger players, right, who went somewhere and it didn't work out, and they're coming here, and then you have to figure out why. And then again, there's a compensation piece to it now, right? There's some guys you're going to take risks on. There's some guys you have to really invest in, and you have to really be diligent and not chase.
How competitive do you feel like you guys were in the portal? I'm sure there were players that you didn't get, and there were players that you really wanted and got that other teams didn't get. But generally speaking, when you think about what you were able to offer, with this building and NIL and rev share, how competitive did you feel going through the process, getting the players that you got?
Yeah, I think anybody we lost to when it was straight up, so the world we're living in now, right? I mean, if I offer you $50 and offer you $500, they're probably going to go there, right? So we have to make different valuations based upon what we have. But when things were straight up, if we lost someone, we lost them to a program that we want to be in the same conversation with, right? So I think that's happening in recruiting too. Like, we are in the conversation now with some schools that we want to be in the conversation with. So I think we did an excellent job. You can't underestimate. Revenue sharing hasn't started, so to get guys here, just a tremendous investment by the Pede family in 1890 and all the people who give to 1890, because what everyone's done is they basically all surged ahead this spring. People have spent, I know schools have spent a ton of money on this spring, and we have too, to get the roster to where you have a chance to get to rev share. So,
look, man, I think we've, like I said, seen the bigger parts of it, and obviously you guys are going to get probably next into the whole, the part that we already watched. But I think it's so important because I've gotten on this channel and been hypercritical of Lane Kiffin. But one thing that I agree with Lane Kiffin, and hey, here's Matt Rhule saying it as well, is that, look, we can't lie to everybody. We can't act like what's going on is not what's going on. Whoever has the most money is going to get the most players. I am a Texas fan. I'm not sure if you can tell. 1 second. Not sure if you could tell, but I'm a Texas fan. We have a lot of money. I know our team isn't back to relevancy because of the spirit of Texas and the pride, and it's because we got Matthew McConaughey over there rubbing on shoulders, and okay? He's got interstellar greenbacks coming in. That's the only reason we're coming back to relevance, and I can accept that, right? I can. Eyebrows done got sucked up, and I can accept that, right? I'm a big boy. I think, my God, talk about a big boy. This forehead's a big boy, man. Get under control, and I can accept that, right? But it feels like we're all walking on eggshells, having this conversation of who really is dominating the transfer portal. It's not a mystery. Nebraska's got a lot of money too. Willie Compton's out there shoveling up his little podcast bucks and giving them to as much Nebraska as he can, right? So they are figuring it out, and they're figuring it out in a big way. Matt Rhule and Nebraska have put together quite the transfer portal class. Number 1 in the Big Ten, man, voice crack, and number 5 nationally when it comes to their transfer portal ranking. So I apologize. This is the transfer portal ranking, not the overall ranking. But still, great work from Nebraska when you take a look at it. And like I said, look, I'm not saying that Matt Rhule is some guy who's against the transfer portal. Actually, quite the contrary. I think he's someone who educates people on the transfer portal. So let's go to this video. I had it lined up. I guess I got it. Gosh darn, go right here and show you it right here. Boom. This was
the roster.
this was back when we were talking about the 105 roster and the roster cuts coming into 2025. So here he is getting in front of that and kind of saying, hey, this is going to be a problem. And here we are.
Limits are a real factor. I mean, it's just I can't imagine what's going to happen in the next 6 months. And if you're like a coach who's really cares about people, you're going to have to tell guys at the end of the season, like, hey, there's no spot for you here next year. So the guys can go and find somewhere else to go. And like, you have some players probably who are like, I'm not touching the ball enough, or I'm unhappy. And they're like, I'm going to go in the portal. And you think about the effect that's about to happen. The portal's already flooded. So we have 150, and we need to go to 105. That's 45 guys. Now, I know some seniors, but we'll add some guys. Just think about 20 to 30 guys from every school having to go into the portal, and the effect it's going to have on FCS, and then on Division II, and then on NAIA and Division III. It's going to be, so to your point, when Marquise and Jamari say, hey, we want to come back, that's 2 more people now that can't be here next year. Like, if you really think about it, we've outlawed, out-legislated the true walk-on programs in college football. There's kids that love this place, that this will be the last day they put their pads on and go out there to be a Husker. And
now, do we care about walk-ons? I don't. I gotta be honest with you. The only thing dope about walk-ons is those little dang segments on ESPN where they get a gosh darn scholarship and my tears start slamming down my face. So I guess I do care about walk-ons a little bit, but I think in the grand scheme of things, does the overall product of college football genuinely care about it? I don't think they do. I like it. I think it's cool. I think it makes for phenomenal stories. But as you can see, they're quite fine with blowing past that and just saying, hey, look, 105, let's get the best. If we're going to pay these people, that takes the precedent over it, right? So not only are we talking about the precedent being set, what Matt Rhule was talking about and alluding to with the transfer portal and spring football, which I guarantee you there's going to be other people who want to have this same sentiment when it comes to spring football. I guarantee you there's going to be other coaches coming out and saying, hey, man, we just can't televise our spring game anymore. We're not going to have it traditionally. And then that next step is, oh, hey, I'm sorry, fans can't come to the spring game anymore because we don't want it filmed. Like, it's going to get to the point where, again, this erosion or evolution, if you will, right? It is an evolution or erosion of the game that we watched and saw, and everything down to the spring game. I think most people, when they hear the transfer portal, the XYZ NIL changing the game, I felt like, at least me, I think we were all assuming, oh, well, the biggest impacts and obviously most immediate impacts are going to be the game. It's going to be what we see in the regular season, the different compositions of teams. But I think that next level conversation is, and one that we have on this channel, is the locker room, right? And these off periods, right? Because a team has to be a team. Football is year round. If you're at college football, collegiate, this is a year round thing. A team has to be a team, right? So this new changing dynamic of bringing in an exceptional large amount of transfer portal players, all teams are doing it. Even the high and mighty Nebraska is doing that. Compound that with the different money figures people are getting. Some people getting recruited from high school. Some people getting NIL money from the portal. Like, it's a recipe to make this whole situation even nastier than it already is. So on one hand, shout out to Matt Rhule, because I do think he does a good job at telling the truth, right, and giving the temperature of what it is. But at the same time, you're kind of like Lane Kiffin, where you're out here dominating the transfer portal and talking about how we just lose everybody. That's the game. So either play the game or go back to the NFL where you were terrible at. But hey, man, y'all let me know in the comments how you feel about it. Are you still going to watch college football? A lot of people in my comments are like, I'm done with the sport. I'm not done. If you're done with college football, you don't really like football, dog. Go watch some D3 football. Go watch some D2 football. Go watch some NAIA football. If you want amateurism, there is some other playing D3 football right now for the love of the game. You better go watch it, man. Hope you're enjoying these videos, man. If you like it, dislike. If you don't like it, subscribe. If you enjoy college football content, we'll see you next time. Peace.